Can everybody hear me now? Sorry, I think I was on mute. I execute on mobile and I chart on desktop. You guys should be able to hear me now. Get well, Tommy. Hopefully the procedures go well, brother. All right, awesome. Yeah, good luck on the procedure, brother. All right, guys, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. Hopefully everyone had a great long weekend. I know I enjoyed my long weekend. Didn't really do anything too crazy. Just kind of hung out with the intentions of not really doing too much. Laid low, got away from the screens. I think that's always good to do. Get away from the screens and preserve your mental capital. It's a grind, guys. Just like I always, equate everything back to baseball. 162 games in a season. There's 250 trading days in a year. It's a grind, so you got to make sure you're giving yourself that mental break when you deserve it. So use long weekends like this, to do just that. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. So want to talk to you guys kind of about what's going on here. I want to start with the SPY, S&P 500 ETF. Want to start here and kind of see where we're at. Let's jump into the daily chart here. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull this up on my other screen as well. All right, cool. I don't think there was another live CDP. This is the S&P 500, right? SPY. This is the daily chart here. Let me zoom out a little bit. I know my levels are here. I'm going to take the levels off for the time being just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm looking at and what we're really looking at. So we've basically been in a broader downtrend on SPY, right, for the last, let's say, 18 months, right? That 470 to 472 wick on the daily, we pushed up there. We've kind of seen lows since then, right? We've just been in this broader downtrend, and you guys hear me say it all the time. It's beneficial as a trader to zoom out and kind of see the larger time frame, the larger picture, the larger scale, right? Much like a point guard is not going to dribble with his or her head down, they're gonna kind of look up and see what the entire court's doing. Similar sense here, right? You have to have chart awareness as a trader, even if you're trading a 2 and 5 minute chart, because we could be approaching a big daily pivot, a big weekly pivot, a big monthly level. Recently, thinking back to it, I'm thinking of that huge weekly level on Amazon at like that $81 mark, and we hit that about a month ago. We hit that intraday and we bounced pretty hard. We were in a downtrend, but when we hit that level, we reversed up pretty hard, and I think within a week and a half we were back in the mid 90s. So it's important, very, very important, to make sure you guys have chart awareness and kind of use the analogy of court vision. Much like those point guards have the vision of the court, they kind of know what's in front of them and what to expect. So to look at things here, guys, like S&P 500 SPY, we have been in this broader downtrend, right? You can see here downtrend. Here's a point, here's another point, here's another point. Here's another point here, and we've finally broken out of this downtrend, right? So as a trader with no bias, one of the things that we've been able to play over the last, let's say, 12 months was that every time we hit this downtrend line, we rejected, right? Tap, reject, tap, reject, tap, reject, tap, reject, tap again, reject, tried to tap here, and then we finally broke through that, right? We finally broke through this, what would be a trend on January 23rd. And now we're pushing up. So for me, right, what I'm looking for as a trader, let me jump out. No, actually, we can stay here. We'll stay right here. What I'm looking for as a trader, guys, you can see, actually, let me take this level off real quick again. One thing I want to mention is that, like, buyers have been aggressively buying the dip, right? And I don't know, we're at a really interesting split in the road here from my perspective, right? Because we have people that have been relentlessly buying the dip, right? Bottom wick, wick, bought up, wick, bought up. Even on Friday, right? They bought up the dip, right? When we came down to 404.05, we closed at 407. 407.26. So we ripped up like $3 from the bottom on Friday, right? Which is huge intraday. People are still buying the dip right here. And we're going to talk about consumer staples. We're going to talk about cyclical names. We have a big earnings day tomorrow with one of those names. We're going to talk about it. But people have been buying the dip. Investors, traders, institutions, they're buying the dip right now. People, it seems like people, you talk to the macro bears, and bears are like, this is only the beginning. You talk to the bulls, and they can't get in quick enough, right? Because they think that we're going to break out of this now that we're out of this, year-long downtrend that I kind of showed you guys, right? Again, the 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, we broke through it, right? And so now if you look, we're kind of holding this area right here, right? This like 405 area is the area that I think on a larger time frame perspective really has to hold, because if it doesn't, I think we're right back at 400. And I'm at the point now where I think if we lose 400 to 390, if we get down into that territory, guys, and we break through 390, 375, 350 comes very, very fast, in my opinion. That's kind of what I'm looking for, and that's the way I'm going to try to trade it, right? 390 is a huge spot. That 390 to 400, that $10 area is a huge spot for me. Because if we lose 390, I think we're going to see 375, 370s pretty quickly, and then ultimately down into this 350 area right down in here. I do think that we will see new lows if we break down through 390. So that's the big spot for me. I mean, 400 psych is huge. You guys see how we've kind of played around this 400 area, reject, breakthrough. Like 400 is now like the next level to the downside. If we break 404, 400 is what we have to watch out for. And if we break 400, I'm looking for that 390. Once we break 390, that's a spot that I think we could comfortably swing some, 2-week, a month, 2-month outputs, and really see a nice return, because I think once we break 390, like I said, the 370s come very quickly, in my opinion, and then I think we could see 350s as well. So that's how I'm going to be structuring myself and kind of my plan of attack around this and what's going to happen. But at the same time, guys, like if we break to the upside here, I think the area to reject the overhead supply that I'm really looking at here on SPY is going to be this 325 to 330 area. Like, I don't think this is out of the question for us to go back up and tap in that 325. So basically you can see here in the way I create my levels, you can see right in here, right? Like right about in here, kind of where we have these candles that, we rejected this area. Some of these candles we pushed up to this supply zone and we sold off. So basically, if I could draw a zone, what I'm really looking for is kind of this area here, right? Like I'm going to be looking for that 430 to 425 area, right? Like a $5 range on a larger time frame perspective. Like this is the supply area that I really do think that they could take us to if we break all of our upside levels that we have on SPY. Now I'll drop these levels for you guys like I always do tomorrow morning in the pre-market huddle, so you can look at those for intraday scalps tomorrow. But I really do think that if we can break this local high here, which our local high, I want to say it's in that 418 area? Hang on one second. 418.31. Yeah, I thought it was 418 something. 418.31, guys. If we can break that, I really do think we could go up and test that supply area. Now, 420 is going to be a big pivot for us, but I really do see that 425 to 430 as being like a huge supply zone for us to keep on watch. So that's what I'm going to be watching moving forward, guys, is my upside pivot levels, my downside levels on SPY. That's kind of what I'm going to be watching. One of the other, names that I want to talk about is that we don't really talk about too much is the Dow Jones, right? DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial. This is a name here. Let's look at the weekly. This is a name that, has fared relatively well, right? Like since COVID has done pretty well. And you can even see here that like it broke its downtrend before SPY broke its downtrend, right? Dow Jones did well, comparatively speaking, compared to SPY. Now, one thing that I really like here is this pivot on Dow Jones. I think Dow Jones actually, a lot of people don't know, but like Dow Jones actually, the options on Dow Jones are actually cheap. You can play these pretty cheaply. For those of you that have small accounts, that's where I look at like IWM, Dow Jones. Like look at some names like that you could trade. IWM is the Russell 2000 ETF IWM, so you could play off of that. But you can play the thing about Dow Jones is it doesn't move a lot, but when it does, we get pretty big moves. And this is where I think like on a name like Dow Jones, looking at this downtrend here that we have on Dow Jones, and we'll talk about the consumer staples, the cyclical names that kind of make up this, but the reason why I think we could see a sell-off here and why we could start to see some weakness is how we saw over on the SPY and on QQQ, the more aggressive names. I think like if people fall out of Dow Jones, which I think they might start doing, the reason being is because people, it seems like investors are FOMOing, right? People are FOMOing over into names like SPY, names like QQQ, because they're like, damn, I don't want to miss the boat. I don't want to miss the run, right? Dow Jones has done pretty well. And Dow Jones is a name that people park their money and they make their, 5 to 6% of their dividends or whatever per year, right? Kind of a safer bet for some of these people, but we could start to see some weakness here if people want to start moving money over into SPY, over into QQQ, things like that, right? You always hear us talk about rotations in different sectors. We could have rotations too in and out of different indexes, right? And that's why I'm showing you that like SPY doesn't always follow Dow Jones in the sense that like every single trend break hits every single time, right? There are times where Dow Jones is going to be stronger or SPY might be a little bit stronger. And this is a time where I think we could catch a nice downside move on Dow Jones. And what I mean by that is this pivot level here at this 32, I have my marker at 32.5, right? 32.5, 32.6. I have a downside level alert set because I think when we break this pivot level, right, even though we have this trend line that extends all the way down, I think if we break this here, this 32.5, 32.6, somewhere in there, really the 32.5 area, right? If we break this level, just like we had this massive push up here, on the weekly, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, basically, we saw a run from 28.6 all the way up to 32.5. We could maybe comfortably swing 2 months out puts here. And we could potentially see new lows, right? Like I would expect if we break this pivot that we're going to be down here around this 28, 27, somewhere in the 27s, right? I'd expect to be between 27 and 28 on this next new low push if we break this pivot level. For me personally, this is how I'm going to start to play this name and how I'm going to approach this name, right? If we break 32.5, I'm going to be looking for 27 to 28 basically on this name. Sub 28.5, right? I'd be looking for a target that's basically lower than this 28.6 that we had if we can break down on this name, right? So we could also take a look at QQQ real quick too, just to recap and show you guys kind of where we're at on QQQ. QQQ is another volatile name that moves really well with SPY. Here's the weekly chart on QQQ. I have these levels down here. We're kind of in this area that, and admittedly, I don't really trade QQQ that much. Guys like Darth Trader and Moneyline trade that a little bit more than I do on a daily basis. Darth also provides some commentary on ES and NQ for those of you that like to play futures. But here's what I'm looking at on QQQ, right? So you guys can see here basically how we're trading on QQQ. Now we are starting to put in this kind of like this pattern, right, where we kind of have like a double bottom bounce on the weekly kind of in this area, and we're starting to push back up. But we do have a big weekly level right here, right? Because last time we broke down through this level, we came all the way down to this low, right? We broke down through this level on the weekly time frame. August 26th, we broke through the level. In those preceding weeks, we actually retested this level, rejected it, and fell all the way down, right? So prior support now becoming resistance. It's still resistance. If we break out over 309, that's where I'm looking for a move up to 330 on QQQ, right? I really do think this could be a nice swing as well, and you're starting to hear me use the term swing a lot more because I think we're starting to get at these key levels now on these charts where we could comfortably start to swing some of these names a month out, 2 months out, and it'll be a little bit less risk on from the sense of comparatively speaking when we're talking about zero DTE and things like that, right? This is just, it really pays, guys, to zoom out on some of these charts and just take a look at what's going on. So this is a key level, right? We broke down through let's call it 309. I have 308 89, but we broke down through that level August 26, 2022. The following 3 weeks, we tried to regain that level. We rejected it, and we made new lows on the year on QQQ, right? All the way back in mid-October. So this is what I'm looking at right here. This level, 309, is the level I'm looking at. We've rejected it now 3 times on the weekly. If we can get over 309, I'm looking for 330. If we get over 330, that's where we start to get a little aggressive with our price targets, and we could see a potential move back up into 350 area on QQQ. These are big areas of supply, so I would look for rejections, right? We've already had 3 rejections on the weekly at 309. 1, 2, 3, right? On the weekly time frame. If we get through 309, I'd look for that 330, and that's where I would look at a potential rejection again to head back down. Okay, so that's QQQ. Now tomorrow, guys, at the bell, before the bell, we are going to have Home Depot earnings. So this is where I want to start talking a little bit about some names like this, right? So I mentioned that, you know, these industrial names, right? These consumer staple names like Home Depot, and you know, we kind of saw it last week, right? We saw names like John Deere report, and John Deere had some strength. I think it was up like 5% on the day, 6%, something like that. We saw names like Cat actually have weakness, right? Cat struggled a little bit. So now we're coming to a name like Home Depot, and I don't typically play Home Depot every single week. Those of you that have been in Moneyline, like, you guys know that we do play Home Depot on daily timeframes, on larger timeframe setups. But typically, right, like typically speaking, I'm not playing Home Depot every single week. It's not a name that I have on my watch list every day. But when earnings do hit, I like to kind of see where we're going. And names like this, names like Home Depot, can help guide us or give us maybe a little bit of a context clue on maybe where we're going in the other consumer cyclical names and the other consumer staple names, right? Industrial names like a Home Depot. You know, I think this is where we talk about names like this, and it's the complete opposite of a name like Coinbase, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the session, because Coinbase has earnings too, right? So I think this week is going to be telling for us for a lot of different reasons, right? We're going to have some consumer staple names. We'll have an idea of maybe what investors and what guidance is looking like on those names, what traders are going to want to do with them, levels they're going to want to take it to. And then we're also going to be able to look at high beta names such as Coin to kind of figure out where Coin could go, because Coin's been super, super volatile. And Bitcoin is obviously showing some strength in the last few weeks. So with Home Depot, guys, this is a key level that I'm looking at here, right? We've kind of had these levels. I've had these levels marked for a while. I haven't touched this name since the last time we traded it. But I am looking for this 334.88 level to the upside to break. You know, if we do break this, I could see Home Depot making its way all the way back up into that mid 350s. Basically a $20 pop up into that level if we do show strength. Now, if we do lose this level, like if we lose this level down here, 308, I know it's a big level, guys. Again, here's that 309 level, similar to QQQ, but 309 to 335 basically is what I'm looking at. We lose 309. That's where I'd be looking for larger time frame moves back down in and around this area, right? Let me put a level here just to show you guys what I'm looking at. Let's mark it right here. All right, now we do get a little bit, it's not as clean down here. Ideally, what I would have wanted to see is me be able to put this level to the downside and it match up to these guys over here. But what we can do is we can now identify this. What I'll call this is a potential area of demand, right? And I know, again, it's a bigger area, so supply and demand traders might put me on the cross for this one. I'm not a supply and demand trader, but I'm just trying to give you guys a visual that we could potentially see a bounce here, right? Because this was a supply area, rejection, breakout. When we broke through this area, it was a pretty violent move, right? Like we went all the way from 273 back in March of 2021 all the way up to 332, right? So basically a $60 move to the upside when we broke through this level here. So I would expect that when we come back down to this level, and this is where I tell you guys this all the time, but this is where people make a lot of money swing trading. People that don't want to be at the desk every single day. You have a day job. You can't look at the charts every single day. You can't trust The fact of taking a 0 DTE because you might get caught into a meeting. Maybe you're a blue collar worker and you're working out in the field and you're not really sure like if you're going to be able to get out of a position, get into a position. This is where you could really start to use swing trading and swing trading methods. This is exactly what I'm talking about here, right? Prior resistance, supply, 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 boom, breakout of supply. What happens the very next time we come back down into this supply area, right? Well, when we came down into it, how'd you have gotten some calls that were maybe 3 months out, right? 4 months out. Let's say we were down here at this 267 and you bought $300 calls, right? Well, you buy these in June of 2022, right? Within 1 month, your 300s are now in the money, right? And then by 2 months, your 300s are now $30 in the money, right? And how do we play that? How do we understand that? Well, this was a supply area, right? Supply, 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 supply. Now it's demand. Think of resistance, 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 break resistance, confirm, right? On this candle here, you guys see this candle here. Breakthrough, this candle holds. Sorry, I know it might be a little challenging to see, but like breakthrough, this candle holds, and then we make our way back up, right? Next time we come back down to this area, I would expect that we would get some kind of bounce. Naturally, because this was an area that we rejected, now we should hold it. Now, what we're looking at on the downside moves, if you're going to swing short, I'm looking for a move back into the supply zone because every time we sold off, we sold right back down into the zone, right? Sell off into the zone, pop, sell off into the zone, pop. If we sell off again, where do you think we're going to head back to? Yeah, probably 273 to 276 on Home Depot, right? And if we break that, that's where we can look for areas to the downside on Home Depot, right? First target probably going to be this 240 area. Then I'm going to be looking for COVID high, pre-COVID area of 230 on Home Depot. Now, it's all going to depend on earnings. It's all going to depend on consumer sentiment, etc., overall market. But just to give you guys an idea of how swing traders really, what their bread and butter is, you're looking at it right here. Weekly time frame, reject, 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 break through, come back down, bounce, swing calls, bounce, swing calls, right? It's as simple as that. Okay, so that's Home Depot. Another one real quick I'm going to give you guys is CVS. Talked about this. Rocky B Trades and I actually talked about this one a couple times. This is an area. Take a look at this chart on the weekly, right? And I gave this out to everyone when we were at about 86, I think, $86. Here's the weekly on CVS, right? And again, we talk about swing traders making money. The last time we were under this level on a weekly time frame was all the way back in May of 2021, prior to actually confirming over it, right? That we actually rejected this level. May of 2021, basically end of May, beginning of June 2021, breakout over this level on October 29th, 2021, confirm it and bounce, right? Reject, breakthrough, confirm. This is the breakout trade, right? Breakout, retest, go. Same, this is the weekly, but same thing on a 5-minute chart, guys. Imagine this is a 5-minute candle. We do the same thing. Breakout, retest, buy, right? Buy on the retest. Stop out right below if it fails that level. But bounce on the weekly, make a high. Bounce on the weekly, make a new local high. Bounce on the weekly, make a new local high. Bounce on the weekly potentially. Now, we did close this weekly candle under, but if we bounce here again, where do you think we're going to go? Yeah, probably right back up in here to this $100 to $105 range. Now, you can see this is trending down just a little bit here. Like if I could put this like little trend line. We are trending down just a little bit here, so it is starting to get a little tight on there. But even if we do break up in here, right, that's still over 100. That's 86 to 100 on a swing. And so this is where people, make their bread and butter on swing trades. Okay, so that's another one. Now, I want to talk about some high beta names because we do have Coinbase earnings coming up as well. We've been playing Coin in the room for the past few weeks, and we've been doing pretty well on Coin from a level perspective. Coin is just a name, guys, that is very, very volatile, and I'm expecting there to be even more volatility on this name coming into earnings. I'm expecting there to be big implied volatility moves on earnings here. If you guys want to take a screenshot of these Coin levels, these levels are have been pretty money levels for me. This is a name that's traded really, really well, comparatively speaking, on its levels. Now we did get this from a technical price action perspective and technical, I guess, candlestick perspective. This is what we call like a shooting star candle in an uptrend, right? $31. We mentioned a few weeks ago on the Sunday scan, we started to see money flowing back into growth names, and we started to kind of curl off of these bottoms. Coin, this is the daily chart, right? Daily uptrend, right? Up, pull back, up, pull back, up, pull back, up, explosion, right? Sell down, another explosion to high day, and then we sell off, right? $87 sold off, and we closed this day all the way down at $74, right? So a $13 sell off on this day on coin. What did it lead to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, right? The low here on this fifth day, $55.97, a $20 sell off on the daily. And this is why you hear me tell you guys all the time, use chart awareness, have court vision, zoom out, take a look at the daily, even if it's intra-week, right? On this day, as soon as when this day's candle is forming, even when you're in the middle of a day, feel free to zoom out on your charts. Go back out and look at the hourly, look at the 4-hour, look at the daily chart, look at the weekly to kind of see where you're at. It gives you a better indication of what's happening, right? When we look at the daily chart on this, like, that's a massive sell candle. What happened? Buyers pushed us all the way up here, right? We came back down. All right, we gapped down. They pushed us up all the way again. What happened? They sold us all the way back down, right? All the way back down, basically, to where we opened that day, right? Underneath our key level of 75.77. What happened the very next day? We got a retest of that level, and we sold down, right? So it pays to zoom out and look at these candles too. Look at the daily candles, because what I've learned in my trading journey is that higher time frames give you higher conviction setups and higher probability plays to take. When you have something happening on a weekly, on a daily, on an hourly time frame, it gives me personally a lot more conviction to take a trade based off of that than looking at a 1 and 2 minute chart. Why? Because a 1 and 2 minute chart isn't really telling me a lot about what's going on from the psychological perspective of investors, traders, institutions, etc. And at the end of the day, that's what a chart is, right? All of these candlesticks are literally just telling you the psychology of buyers and sellers, right? This candle here, right? Like, buyers didn't like this level, this 46.16. They rejected down. Pull down, pull down, pull down. What happened on this candle? The psychology of buyers is that they thought coin was a great buy at 31.55, so they didn't let it go below 31.55. Buyers stepped in, right? Bull stepped in, buyer stepped in, whoever it is stepped in at 31.55 because they thought that coin was a great buy at this area. The value was there to buy it. And what happened? Well, whoever bought coin at 31.55 in January at the beginning of the year basically 3x their money, right? In a month. Commons on coin, $31 to $87 in a month. So you wonder why people step in and bought it. Well, this, coin's a volatile name, right? And so at the end of the day, this is all it is, guys. It's psychology of buyers and sellers, and the candles give you psychology. The candles show you that, like, even though this is a green candle, context clues say that we've been in an uptrend, right, since the beginning of the year. These people are now up 300% on their investment if they bought at 31.55, and they sold up here, right? They're like, I'm out. I'm almost 3x my investment in a month. I'm out. I'm selling back. I'm selling down. And what happened? They sold off. Shorts took control, and we fell all the way back down to this 54 level, right? So this is going to be a huge spot for us, I think, this week on coin. I'm interested to see how coin performs today and tomorrow. I think contracts are going to be they're going to be priced a lot. So if anyone wants to take any coin lottos, make sure you grab those lottos. But I'm really interested to see what coin does. Bitcoin's been strong. I actually think coin could have a decent earnings report, but I'm curious to see what guidance is all about here. Like I said, these high beta name guys, this is where you really have to pay attention to what the Fed is saying, because when the Fed starts to ease their rate increases and the rate hikes, and when the Fed starts coming out as being quote unquote hawkish, this is where high beta names are going to thrive. And we talked about this, right? We've been talking about this for a few weeks now from a macro perspective. Higher interest rate environments are dilutive to names like coin, right? Names like Peloton, names like UPST, names like Affirm. any high beta name, it's not going to be accretive to their stock price growth when interest rates go up. And why is that? Because a lot of these names that are high beta are heavily leveraged. And what I mean by that is they have a lot of debt, or they rely on debt to grow. And when the Fed raises the Fed rate, inherently that's going to increase the cost of growth for these names, which in return decreases their free cash flow that they have available, because now they're spending more money to make more money in a growth perspective. Why do you think a lot of these high beta names perform so well when the interest rates were so low for so long? This is exactly why, right? Because these names are more valuable to analysts, traders, institutions on the street when their rates are low, and these names can basically borrow money for pennies on the dollar to help grow and scale, billion-dollar enterprises, right? That's where the value lies in these names. Now, when the interest rates start to rise, that's where money's going to start flowing out of these names, because now, as an investor, it's not accretive to me to have my money locked up into a name like Coin, who relies, right, on debt to grow when that debt is super expensive. It's just simple supply and demand. It's something you have to think about. Same way we've seen guys that, like, the street loves it, right, when people start laying people off. From a PR perspective, from an HR perspective, it's not great. From the average American, you're like, damn, that's not good. Their stock price is probably going to go down, right? No, absolutely not. Analysts love that. Why? Because it's all centered around that free cash flow. How much cash flow do you have available to throw back into your operations to grow, right? How much cash do you have to put back into your cash reserves for cash on hand? You have to start thinking about like an analyst, like a Wall Street, banker, institution. That's kind of what you have to start thinking of. Like, layoffs are bullish news, because now the company's saving more money, right? It's putting more money back in the company's pocket to pivot and be a little bit more flexible with their operations. And so therefore, potentially their guidance could be a lot more bullish after they lay off 15% of their workforce, right? That's kind of the reason why we see things like that. So just remember these high beta names, guys. If the Fed starts coming out, and if the Fed starts easing some of these rates that we're going to have, that, in the coming months, look to run to beta names, because I'm telling you, these beta names are going to explode if the Fed starts slowing down rate hikes, or if they do that. No, I'm not saying they are, and that's something that we'll have to think about and dive into on whether or not that's really going to happen. I think at the end of the day, the Fed's going to have to start tightening up, because everything's getting expensive. Hell, even stocks are getting expensive to buy. You know what I mean? Like, everything's getting expensive, and so I think, the Fed's going to have to do everything they can to keep inflation under control, and to that point, I think they're going to have to, maybe not raise them as steep as what we've seen in the past, but they're going to have to consistently be raising these rates until we can get it back into an area that's accretive for us. So something to think about when we think about names like Coin, think about names like UPST, Affirm, Peloton, etc. Coin does have earnings this week. This should be a fun one to flush, assuming that it doesn't move that much, but I am expecting a pretty big move. If we don't get the move on it, this will be a really, really fun name to flush come Friday. So speaking of growth names, let's take a look at Tesla, because here's a name that I think we should all look at. We should all understand where we're at with Tesla. Let's look at the weekly here. I don't know how messy this chart's going to be. It's a little messy. First thing I notice on Tesla is this volume. Right? Ever since these lows, ever since the low at the beginning of the year. This is where we talk again. These charts look very, very similar, right? People that bought Tesla down here at 101 are more than 100% on their money. They've more than 2x their money, right? From these names. These high beta names, these growth names have just exploded in 2023 at the start of the year, right? January was the month for high beta names. Any growth names absolutely exploded off these levels. This is where I tell you guys, you could look at any chart, look at the weekly, and any high beta name, any growth name is probably going to look very similar to this, right? Bounce, made highs, right? But this is huge on Tesla, right? This is a big spot on Tesla, and you see like how many times we've kind of been up at this level. The volume is just absolutely insane, right? Like, we haven't seen this level of volume on Tesla since, on a weekly perspective, right, since that massive breakout, since the massive run in late 2020, right? I remember this was crazy, because when we broke that level, that 200 level on Tesla, that's where we just went absolutely parabolic and went all the way to 300. So I'm not saying that the same thing's going to happen here on Tesla because we are in a much different macro environment. But the last time we broke 200, or the last time we were trading around 200 with this level of volume, buyers took us all the way back up to 300 basically on Tesla, right? The high was 294.83, 295 basically. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm Nostradamus and I know where we're going with this. Again, the only thing we can use is historical context to give us an idea of how buyers and sellers could potentially react now being where we're at, right? And the last time we saw this level of volume was the end of 2020. And when we broke through this upside level that we're looking at here of 218.24, we held it right on the weekly. We got one more dip down to, what level is that? 205. We held 218, and then from there it was rocket ship mode. So if I see another candle set up like this on a weekly time frame on Tesla, I don't know if you guys can see this, but basically a hammer candle. Sorry, Webull doesn't make it very easy to zoom and kind of show you guys what I'm talking about here, but basically this hammer candle, right? If I see another hammer candle over 218, similar to what we saw back in 2020, I will potentially get long in some leaps on Tesla to play it to the upside for a potential move back into that 300 territory. Now, I was very public in my saying that I think we see double digits on Tesla in Q1. So we've got about a month and 10 days left. So I don't know that we're going to get that, but that was kind of my thesis going in, was that at some point we would see that 100 break and we would bounce out of it. I didn't think we would see this V-shaped recovery like we saw on Tesla. It's been quite impressive, but realistically, right, for the upside targets now that I'm looking at on Tesla, this is the next spot that I think we can get to from a larger time frame perspective. Right around in here, right around in this 255.36 area. How do I get 255? It's not rocket science, and I'm not saying this is the level that we get to. I think this is a key pivot spot that we could potentially see, right? Because when we broke out over this level, September 2021, we held it, we pushed higher, right? We pushed all the way up to 414 actually when we held this level. We came back down, wicked off of it, bounced, tried to wick off of it again, got underneath of it, and we kind of consolidated in this range for a period of time, broke out, came up, then we had this next level, right? So the next level to the upside after this one I'd probably be looking at is somewhere up in and around this area, right? The 303 area, over 255. Now these are bigger time frame levels. Interesting here, right? It kind of coincides with this wick up here, very, very close here, but also with this gap area here. So this is a level, right? Like we rejected this area, came back down again, gap down underneath, fell into this area, and then fell into the ranges that we played basically during the later half of last year. So if we do break out over 218, logically now my upside target is going to be about 255 on Tesla. Now I don't know when that happens, and I don't know how we're going to play that, but from a leap perspective, if we break 218, 255 comes pretty quick, I think. If we break over 255, you guys can see why I think that 303 level is pretty key to the upside, because last time we got to this level, we pushed, got over this level, held it, pushed up, right? Like we naturally, when we break over 255.36, and when we come down and hold 255.36, we make our way back up to 303.51. So that's kind of what I'm watching on Tesla here. Now, I don't really know, like I said, how we're going to play it or what's going to happen, but that's where I think you guys need to make sure you're pulling out on the charts and looking at, weekly, daily, hourly, 4-hour, zoom out on these charts to have a better idea kind of what's going on here. All right, so that kind of wraps it up tonight for everything that I wanted to talk to you guys about from a macro perspective. I don't really have certain things other than like the Home Depot trade that I think we should watch that tomorrow. I'm going to be pretty risk off tomorrow, right? It's a short week. Probably take a look at SPY tomorrow. I'll probably trade some ES tomorrow. I've been trading futures. I traded it last week. I'll probably trade some futures this week. That's going to be kind of like my top watch tomorrow. Just kind of, I want to see how Home Depot performs. I also want to see Tesla. Tesla's a big watch for me. I likely won't touch Coin until after earnings, just because the IV is going to be naturally jacked on Coin. Coin is such a volatile name that, it's a name that's what I'm saying. It's a name that could potentially be an A+ flush opportunity for us, because of how expensive those contracts are going to get. And if it's flat or if it goes against someone, they're going to get absolutely hammered on coin. So, yeah, probably not going to play coin leading into earnings. I know I won't play it leading into earnings, actually. I don't really like to play earnings, but we can potentially flush it. So there are some names that I am looking for potential flushes this week. I can go over those quickly with you guys of some names that I am going to be watching. So before open, right, we're going to have Home Depot. We also have Walmart. Coinbase is actually tomorrow evening. So Wednesday we could potentially be able to flush Coinbase. So we have Walmart, Home Depot tomorrow morning that I'm really interested in, right? I want to see how they perform. I think Toll Brothers misses really big tomorrow evening. Home builders have just been getting decimated. Coinbase tomorrow night, which I think can perform pretty well. Overstock could be a name on Wednesday that we could flush. I've played Overstock before. After close on Wednesday is kind of where the lights come on, right? Because we've got NVIDIA, we've got Lucid, we've got Unity Software, and then we've got Etsy. All four of those names have options chains that are pretty liquid, and the spreads are pretty good on that. I'm interested to see what they say on the Lucid call based on the news that came out in the last few weeks on the Saudi potential bidders. So that should be interesting there. We have Alibaba Thursday before open. We have Moderna Thursday before open. Domino's, Wayfair potentially, but I'm not too excited about those. Carvana on Thursday after close. I'll be watching Flow on that one. They usually tag the Flow there, and then Beyond Meat is another one. Beyond BYND is another high beta name, guys, that can rip pretty well. I think they had some news about a McDonald's partnership last week. So we'll be watching that one as well. But Beyond could be a potential nice flush play, just like some of those other high beta names were with like Peloton, Dash, Roku. We could get a nice flush on Friday morning on Beyond Meat to potentially play. So that's kind of what I'm watching, guys. If you have any questions or have any charts that you like, drop it in the YouTube comment. And we have about 10 minutes here. We can potentially go through some of those charts if you guys want to. I'm happy to do that if you guys drop those down in the comment section. Also, if you wouldn't mind, if you guys would like this video and subscribe to our YouTube, we are going to start pushing out some YouTube content. I know we've been saying that and been trying to do that. I've been in the studio filming some stuff, so we'll be pushing out some more content to you guys across all the socials on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. So yeah, anyone have anything that they want to potentially go over, feel free to drop it in the YouTube comments. And I'm also going to check Wall Street to see if you guys... I don't see anything. I don't see anything in the comments so far in Discord. Okay, yeah, we take a look. Let's take a look. We got GM. Let's take a look at GM first. I'll go in order here. There you go. You guys should be able to hear me now. You should be able to hear me now. It should be back on. I just had to fix it on the Streamlabs. Yeah, it's back now. So basically on the weekly time frame, what I was saying, guys, a weekly consolidation, larger time frames, I like to start here first. Then what I'm going to do is go into the daily, right? I'm going to work my way down into the daily, and let's take a look at what the daily looks like here. Pretty bullish sentiment here, right? Like this is pretty bullish, right? From a daily perspective, we've had one red candle, right, since the beginning of February, basically. Every other candle's been green. So if we can break out over this level on GM, I'd really be looking for a retest on a weekly time frame. Let me show you guys the weekly. Let me go back here to the weekly and show you what I'd be looking for. On a weekly time frame, like my level for GM that I'd be looking for, if you want to swing something, is probably going to be this spot here, right? First level is going to be like 45. Next level I'd be looking for is this area right here. Somewhere in this area, right? In the 48 area is what I'd be looking for. If we can break out to the upside. Now, if we break to the downside, it's clear levels here, right? Looking for that 35 again. But again, I don't play GM that much, so that's kind of what I got on GM. Now, someone else said, I already went over HD. Someone said AMD. NVIDIA has trade Roku other than the flush play that we played. Let's see. Take these price alerts off. You guys know how those price alerts go off every morning. I don't like them. Roku, yeah, just a beaten down chart right now. This is one where like we don't have any levels up here on Roku, so what you'd have to do is go back here to like these time frames basically and kind of find some levels. And what I mean by these time frames is like back in here, like back in September of 2022, to kind of find some time frames to play off of. And I'm just gonna jot some things down in here so you guys could see maybe how I would play this. As far as like finding actual levels, like one of the I'll put this on here because I do like this level, but one of the things I like to do once I have some like big daily levels established like I just did there is I'll actually go into the 15-minute chart and I'll like zoom in here and look at the 15-minute chart like within this range or just above or just below, basically trading from like August of 2022 all the way until September of 2022 as well. It's kind of how I like to do that. So Roku's a name, guys, that like, look, it's a high beta name, right? So like, look at the same thing that happened, right? At the beginning of the year, look where we're at, right? We're trading down here around this 38, and we went all the way to 70. We went all the way to basically 80, right? 77 from 38. So basically, 2x the money again. So these high beta growth names ripped off of the January level, just like a lot of these names. So looking for this move down, if we do lose this area here, the 68.21, I could potentially see us falling pretty quick down to that $64 area. But that's one on Roku that I'd be watching. Oh, sorry guys, the sound cut out again. It says my sound's on. You guys can't hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hopefully everybody can hear me. It says the sound's on. Sorry guys, I'm trying to look at chat too. All right, now you guys can hear me. So I was just talking about Roku. Sorry, I don't know why it cut out. I don't know what's going on with the mic. I haven't pressed anything. It's the same mic I've been using. But I'll keep an eye on it. All of AMD. Okay, let me go to AMD real quick. I'll just show you guys. Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on with my mic. I'm gonna have to get this checked out. It's like intermittently cutting off on me, and I don't know what's going on with it. Yeah, it doesn't like AMD for sure. It doesn't like AMD. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know why it keeps cutting out, but yeah, as soon as I clicked AMD, it doesn't like AMD for some reason. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. But I'm back now. It's back on. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. The mic is just like it's got like a mind of its own, basically. What I was saying with AMD, I'm going to keep you guys right here in the Streamlab thing. What I was saying with AMD, though, was that every time we come up to that $79 level, we reject, right? So 79, reject, 79, reject, right? Breakthrough 79, we try to get it, we reject, we reject, we reject. Finally, we break through it. Now we're back underneath of it, right? Because we couldn't hold it as support. So if we open tomorrow under 79, that's going to tell me that 79 now should be a rejection area, and I'm going to look to play puts off of 79. Now, if we open tomorrow and hold 79, then that means that this was support, now it was rejection, and now it's support. But I want to see this flip to resistance so we can reject off of it and head back down into that $76 to $72 gap area. All right, so that's AMD. Let's look at Netflix real quick, and then that'll close us out for the evening. Netflix. Netflix is another growth name, guys. Again, look at what happened here at the beginning of the year, right? 273, we go all the way up to 380. Massive, massive moves. Right, so this is a name that on a weekly time frame, I think I showed everyone on the weekly. We're steadily creeping up here on Netflix. Let me turn this off to give you guys a better visual on the weekly. Right, we're just steadily making our way up here. Push up, push up, push up. Sorry, I'm just going back over to make sure you guys can still hear me. But push up, push up, push up, right? All the way up here. Now we're starting to potentially, right, catch a bid here, which is what I would expect to see. On this level, right, and I can't do it here because it's going to make me erase all of my levels I have on Netflix. But what I would expect to see on Netflix, this 341 level, guys, you see how this 341 level, we held it here on this candle, we held it on this candle, we held it on this candle, and then we lost it, right? We lost it on earnings and we fell. 341. Okay. We got over 341 on this candle and we held it. Got over on this candle on January 20th. Then on the week of January 27th, we held 341 on the retest, right? Let me put this cursor here so you guys can see it. 341, where are we at? There we are. 341, right? So you guys see we broke out, we held it. Now what are we doing? We're bouncing again right near that 370, 341 level. This bounced at 342.44. So if we do catch a bid, I would expect us to trend up and we'd probably break out over this high really to that 400 level is what I'm looking for, right? 400 is where I'm going to be looking for a price target for Netflix to go to. And then that's where I think we could potentially short Netflix back down. But if we lose 341, now I'm going to be looking for this 320 level on a larger time frame perspective, right? Lose 341, go get 320 basically. If we hold 341, looking for a move back over that 380 area, potentially up to 400. A lot of price targets recently up in for Netflix into that 400 range. Like I said, I think a lot of it is going to depend on what's going on with this name right here, SPY. Where are we going to be at? Are we going to 325, 330, or are we going to go back down to 390, 400 and lose 390 and head back down into the 370s? Everything's going to depend on kind of what the market does. So my eyes will be on SPY, ES, SPX, QQQ, Dow Jones, Russell 2000, IWM, names like that to kind of give us an idea of what's happening and where we're going to go. And with that, guys, that's all I've got for you this evening. I apologize about the mic issues that we've had. I hope everyone found value out of this. We will be live trading tomorrow in the Discord for everyone that wants to be in there. I'll make sure to tweet out a link to you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be pushing out more content to you guys every single week here. Keep an eye out for that. Also, my Instagram, Stratton Oak with an underscore. We'll be pushing out more content to you guys there as well. Anything that you need, let us know. We're here for you guys to help support you in any way throughout the trading journey. So if there's any questions that you have, feel free to bounce those over to us and ask an admin if you are a premium trader. And if not, just tag us on the Wall Street floor, which is our main chat floor. And we'll be sure to get back to any questions that you guys have. But with that, hopefully everyone has a great night tonight. And I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, ready to crush it and ultimately see what Home Depot does at open and then get ready to see how coin performs tomorrow evening, guys. So take it easy. Have a good one.